Here's a video on lesson 10 of our text. Lesson 10 has nothing new that is on the AP exam, so we're not going to cover it in class, in the homework, or on quizzes and tests in the future. So nothing on lesson 10 is on the AP exam, therefore nothing on lesson 10 will be on our quizzes, tests, final exam, and so forth. What is in lesson 10 is the switch statement. If you had a previous class in C++ or Java or played on some online coding site where you learned the language, you may have done switch statements there. Switch statements represent code that can replace long if-else, if-else, if-else statements. So they're not in the AP exam. I'm not going to cover them other than this video. Let me show you what one looks like maybe. Here's a calculator program in which I ask the user for a number and ask him for a second number. The numbers are stored in doubles A and B. And then I ask him for a math operator, plus, minus, times, divide, or modulus. And so if they enter 20 and 10 and then a plus sign, my switch statement will add them together and make 30. If they enter 8 and 5 and a minus sign, then my switch statement will take 8 minus 5 and display 3, and so on with times or divide or modulus. So you can try it, you can play with it, but again, it's not in the AP exam and nothing that I am going to ever quiz you on. But let's go ahead and run it and you can see what it looks like here. Compile it. So far so good. And then I'll run it and I'll put in 20 and 10. It says enter an operator. I'll put the division operator, and there it is. 20 divided by 10 is 2.0, as we'd expect. So the switch statement, it's got the new keyword switch, it's got a new word case, and another word break. So I really don't want you to spend time with it in class, but I know it's in the book, and it can be useful for programs that require some input from the user, and perhaps you're writing your own code and want to play with stuff in like a game you're making or something. I see kids all the time in class working on programs that they challenge themselves with, and that's great. But the switch statement is not in the AP exam, and I don't want to cover it in class because we just don't have time to cover more than our curriculum offers. One more thing in lesson 10 that's also not in the AP exam is a new variable type called char. Char is short for character. We can only put characters into the char type. It's kind of like string. You put things in double quotes into string variables, and you put things in single quotes into char variables. But again, let me be clear, this is not on the AP exam. There's some simple things you can do with char variables, but it's not on the AP exam. You see it in JavaBat once in a while. Some of the solutions use characters, like I mentioned in class on Friday, how to replace a char at with a substring. Let's take a look here. I've got a string called letter1, and I put A into it with double quotes. A string called word1, and I put Arcadia into it with double quotes, and that compiles fine. Strings must have double quotes around them. You already know this. Strings must have double quotes. If we try single quotes, it's not going to work. Okay? It says the char type is on the right side and the string type's on the left. It's not going to work. So you have to use double quotes for string types. For chars, you use single quotes, and you can only put a single character, like char letter 2 equals lowercase a. And that works fine. You can display it just like you do any other variable type. Out.println letter 2. You cannot put more than one character into a char variable. Like you can't do equals Arcadia in double quotes. It's going to see a string on the right and a char on the left. That won't work. And you can't use single quotes either. It's not going to work. Okay. So when you need to get a letter stored, a single letter, you could use a char variable, but again, it's not in the AP exam. Nothing I'll ever quiz you on. We see it in coding bat when we do charats. When we see charats, we don't really use them. We go out.println. Well, let's do it down here after Arcadia. Do out.println word1.char at 0 will give the uppercase A because that's the character at position 0. But again, I never do that because the AP exam never does that. It will always do out.println word1.substring 0, 1. And that's going to be that A as well. So the switch statement in lesson 10 we can skip, and the character variable in lesson 10 we can skip. Maybe you already know about them from previous classes or previous work on the internet, but it's not part of our curriculum. I'm not going to put it on our quizzes, tests, labs, and so forth.